In this video, we will introduce the Supreme Court's decision in Ramos v. Louisiana. The Supreme Court held that criminal convictions in state court must be unanimous, with every juror voting to convict. That is, if a defendant in state court is accused of a crime, the jury's deliberation must result in a unanimous vote that the defendant is guilty. And if even 2 jurors vote not guilty, and we're left with 10 votes to convict and 2 votes to not convict, the defendant cannot be found guilty. The background to Ramos v. Louisiana was that 2 states, Oregon and Louisiana, allowed convictions even where 2 out of 12 jurors voted not guilty. A majority of Supreme Court justices in Ramos v. Louisiana reasoned that Amendment 6 of the United States Constitution, which guarantees the accused a right to trial by an impartial jury in a criminal case, requires that the guilty verdict be unanimous. That is, not a single juror votes not guilty. The Supreme Court explained that since as early as the 14th century in England, everyone seems to have accepted that juries cannot convict defendants by anything other than a unanimous vote. And likewise, the first American states seem to have also generally agreed that jury convictions must be unanimous. And this suggests that the framers of the Constitution must have also understood that jury convictions must be unanimous. The court also considered the racist roots of Louisiana and Oregon's laws, which were meant to limit African American power on outcomes of jury verdicts. That is, if say there were 2 African Americans randomly selected for a jury, the remaining 10 white jurors could outvote them. So if the 2 African American jurors voted not guilty, the remaining 10 jurors could vote to convict, and under Oregon and Louisiana law, this would result in a 10-2 conviction. But one obstacle in reaching this decision was an earlier case, Apodaca v. Oregon. In that decision from 1972, the Supreme Court had addressed an identical issue. And in that case, a divided Supreme Court would hold that the 6th Amendment to the United States Constitution does not require states to mandate unanimous jury verdicts to convict defendants in criminal cases. And states could allow convictions even where 2 jurors voted not guilty. But by a 6-3 vote in 2020, in our case, Ramos v. Louisiana, most of the Supreme Court justices held, for somewhat different reasons, that they were not obligated to follow the decision in Apodaca v. Oregon. And these justices held that the 6th Amendment requires unanimous jury verdicts to convict defendants in state court. As a result, if a jury cannot reach a unanimous guilty verdict in a criminal case, the defendant cannot be convicted. To summarize, in Ramos v. Louisiana, the Supreme Court held that under the 6th Amendment, juries can only convict defendants by a unanimous verdict. A majority of justices reasoned that the framers of the Constitution understood unanimity to be a requirement for conviction by a jury. The justices, for different reasons, declined to follow an earlier case in which a plurality held that the 6th Amendment does not require unanimous jury verdicts to convict defendants in state court.